Chosen 1. Late at night, 3 officials in black suits were discussing your potential in a windowless room beneath Washington, D.C. Your file was marked National Priority. This is Rich. They know your name, your real name, the one written in invisible ink across your soul, the one that makes certain people extremely uncomfortable. While you were double-tapping pictures of strangers' breakfasts and watching 30-second videos of people dancing like trained monkeys, something extraordinary was happening in the shadows. Something that would make your blood run cold if you still had any fire left in your veins. Your birth certificate was just paperwork. Your real classification. That's what keeps certain people awake at night. You thought that little piece of paper given to your parents was important. That's just the cover story. The lie told to keep the world spinning on its pretty little axis. But your real file, the one buried deeper than state secrets, that's a masterpiece of terror. They have a system, a beautiful, twisted, absolutely brilliant system. Every human being born gets a number, not your social security number. Something far more personal, a probability rating. They calculate your threat level to their precious status quo, before you can even hold your own head up, before you speak your first word, before you take your first independent step toward becoming dangerous. And you magnificent little time bomb, you broke their algorithm. The computer spit out your rating, and somewhere in some sterile government building, a coffee cup shattered against a wall, because your number, your beautiful, chaotic, absolutely terrifying number, was off the charts. Potential threat level to status quo. Maximum. They've been playing damage control ever since. Every teacher who told you to calm down, every boss who passed you over for that promotion, every friend who said you were too intense. Damage control. Because they knew what you've forgotten, that inside that ordinary-looking shell of yours lives something that could burn their entire world to the ground, just by being authentically, unapologetically you. But classification systems reveal something else, something they didn't want you to notice. The very existence of your file proves you're not imagining things. Every strange coincidence, every pattern that seemed too perfect to be random, every moment when life felt orchestrated against you. It was. You weren't paranoid. You were perceptive. You weren't overthinking. You were recognizing the underthinking everyone else was doing. You think school was about education. School was about domestication, teaching you to sit in rows, to raise your hand for permission, to color inside the lines, to believe that normal is good and different is dangerous. But here's what you need to understand about spells. The most powerful ones aren't cast with wands and incantations. They're cast with repetition and routine. Every day you sat in that classroom was another layer of the spell. Sit still. Be quiet. Don't question. Follow instructions. Accept authority. Memorize. Don't think. Regurgitate. Don't create. Conform. Don't innovate. The spell wasn't just about controlling your body. It was about binding your spirit, making you forget that you came here with magic in your bones and revolution in your blood. They gave you participation trophies to teach you that winning doesn't matter. They told you everyone's special so you'd forget that you actually are. They fed you a steady diet of be humble and don't rock the boat until you became a shadow of what you were meant to be. But here's the joke that keeps me laughing in the dark. You can domesticate a tiger. You can put it in a cage. You can train it to perform tricks. You can make it forget it's a predator. But you can't change what it is. But something in you resisted, even as you learned to play the game. Part of you never bought in completely. You'd stare out windows during lectures, your mind escaping to places their lesson plans couldn't reach. You'd doodle in margins, creating worlds while they tried to trap you in theirs. You'd ask questions that made teachers uncomfortable, not because you were trying to be difficult, but because you genuinely saw what others missed. Here's a curse so subtle, you probably didn't realize you were under it. The curse of comparison. From the moment you could comprehend, you were measured against others. Grades, sports, appearance, achievement, always stacked against someone else's performance. Never evaluated for your unique frequency, always judged by their standards. never recognized for your actual gifts. This curse runs deep. It makes you look sideways instead of forward, makes you measure your progress by someone else's ruler, makes you doubt your path because it doesn't look like theirs. But you want to know the truth about this curse? It only works if you agree to participate. The moment you stop comparing, the spell breaks. The instant you realize your path was never meant to look like anyone else's, you're free. You've been carrying this curse so long it feels like part of you. That voice that says you're behind, that you should be further along, that others your age have achieved more. That's not wisdom. That's witchcraft, designed to keep you running on a hamster wheel, chasing a finish line that keeps moving, exhausting yourself trying to catch up to people who aren't even going where you're meant to go. The curse of comparison created false prophecies over your life, prophecies that said you'd never measure up, never be enough, never reach the heights others reached. But those weren't prophecies, they were projections, projected by people who needed you to believe in limitations so they could feel better about their own, projected by systems that required your compliance to maintain their structure. Netflix didn't become a billion-dollar company by accident, neither did social media. They're not entertainment, they're spells. You think you're relaxing when you binge-watch another season. That's not relaxation, that's sedation. You think you're connecting when you scroll through highlight reels of people you barely know. That's not connection, that's collection. They're collecting your attention, your energy, your potential, one scroll at a time. But here's the punchline that'll make you laugh until you cry, or cry until you laugh. They planned it all. Those algorithms weren't designed by accident. That just one more episode feeling. That's not entertainment. That's enchantment. The same kind of enchantment that makes you lose hours without noticing. The same kind that makes you forget what you were supposed to do. The same kind that keeps you consuming instead of creating. If this touched your heart and mind, hype this video so more chosen ones can receive this message. Your phone isn't connecting you to the world. It's disconnecting you from yourself. Every notification is a spell cast to pull your attention away from your power. Every buzz in your pocket is an incantation calling you back to the altar of distraction. Every mindless scroll is another binding, another chain, another bar in the invisible prison built around your potential. You're not addicted to your phone. You beautiful, tragic, powerful creature. You're under a spell that makes you believe you need constant stimulation, that silence is uncomfortable, that being alone with your thoughts is dangerous. But you know what's really dangerous? Never being alone with your thoughts, never sitting in silence long enough to hear your own truth, never getting bored enough to remember your dreams. The spell goes deeper. It's not just distraction, it's replacement. Replacing your actual life with virtual experiences, replacing real connections with digital interactions, replacing your creativity with consumption, replacing your dreams with other people's highlight reels. Every hour you spend living vicariously through a screen is an hour stolen from living victoriously in reality. The voice in your head that says you can't, where do you think it learned to speak so fluently? This is my favorite part. The part where we expose the false prophet that's been living in your mind, not some external enemy. This one's much more intimate. Listen carefully right now. In the silence between my words, do you hear it? That whisper, that doubt, that voice that says this is all nonsense. You're not special. You're not different. There it is, your false prophet. The one that's been prophesying your failure since childhood. But here's the joke. That voice that sounds so much like you, it's not actually you. It's a construct, a sophisticated construct that was assembled piece by everyone who needed you to stay small. Every teacher who said be realistic when you shared your dreams, they installed a piece of code. Every relative who said people like us don't do things like that. Another subroutine. Every friend who laughed at your ambitions. Another firewall against your greatness. It speaks in your voice because it learned your language. It knows your fears because it was programmed with your insecurities. This false prophet specializes in false prophecies. You're not smart enough. Really? Says who? Based on what? Some standardized test that measured memorization? Not intelligence? You don't have what it takes. What exactly does it take? And who decided you don't have it? Someone who never walked your path. Every limitation it preaches was programmed by someone who accepted their own limitations. Every fear it prophesies was inherited from someone who chose fear over faith. You're not just carrying your own curses, you're carrying ancestral ones. Generations of stay in your place, and don't make waves, and be grateful for what you have, and don't get too big for your britches. These aren't just sayings, they're spells, cast by ancestors who were trying to protect you but ended up projecting their fears onto your future. Your bloodline carries stories of dreams deferred, ambitions abandoned, potentials unrealized, and those stories became curses, curses that said your family doesn't do certain things, doesn't reach certain heights, doesn't break certain barriers. But you're the curse breaker, the one born to end patterns that have run for generations. Every time you push past a limitation your family accepted, you're breaking an ancestral curse. Every time you achieve something nobody in your lineage achieved, you're shattering a generational spell. Every time you choose courage where they chose comfort, you're not just changing your story, you're changing your entire family's story, backward and forward through time. You feel the weight of it sometimes, the invisible resistance when you try to rise above your raising, the guilt when you outgrow your origins, the fear that success means betrayal of where you came from. That's not wisdom, that's witchcraft. Ancestral curses designed to keep families in boxes for generations. But you're the one with the keys, the one who can unlock not just your own cage, but the cages that have held your lineage for longer than anyone remembers. Now we get to the fun part. The part where you become dangerous. You know what terrifies systems of control more than someone who rebels loudly? Someone who disappears from their surveillance entirely. While everyone else is posting their breakfast, announcing their plans, sharing every thought like confessions at digital church, you're going to do something revolutionary. You're going to shut up. But this isn't just about silence, it's about becoming unpredictable, untrackable, uncontrollable. Every pattern you break makes you harder to curse. Every routine you disrupt makes you harder to spell. Every expectation you shatter makes you harder to prophesy against. You've been living your life like an open book, every page available for editing by hands that don't have your best interests at heart. Silence isn't empty. Silence is strategic. Every move you don't announce is a move that can't be countered. Every plan you don't share is a plan that can't be sabotaged. Every dream you don't broadcast is a dream that can't be hexed by other people's jealousy, doubt, or fear. The most dangerous stories are written in invisible ink. Stop asking for permission. Stop seeking validation. Stop announcing your intentions. The most dangerous person in any room isn't the one making the most noise. It's the one sitting quietly, observing, calculating, building. While others perform their social media theater, you're going to become something far more powerful, an unknown variable in their equation. You know what happens when you stop explaining yourself? People lose the ability to box you in with their understanding. You know what happens when you stop seeking approval? You stop being affected by disapproval. You know what happens when you disappear from their radar? You appear in their nightmares, because nothing terrifies a system built on predictability more than someone who becomes genuinely unpredictable. Every scar on your soul is proof that you refuse to break when breaking would have been easier. You think those scars make you damaged goods. You think trauma makes you weak. Let me tell you what those scars really are. They're places where curses tried to enter and failed. They're spots where spells attempted to bind you and couldn't. They're evidence that false prophecies were spoken over you and didn't stick. While others lived safe little lives in comfortable bubbles, you were being forged in fires of reality. While others were playing with toy problems, you were wrestling with real demons and winning. Every rejection didn't break you. It broke the spell that said you needed acceptance. Every betrayal didn't destroy your ability to trust. It destroyed the curse that said you needed others to be trustworthy for you to be whole. You know what carbon becomes under extreme pressure and heat? A diamond. The most valuable, indestructible, brilliant substance on Earth. And you've been under pressure your entire existence, But instead of crushing you, it's been crystallizing you. Instead of breaking you, it's been making you unbreakable. That depression you survived, that was a curse trying to claim you, and you outlasted it. That anxiety you conquered, that was a spell trying to shrink you, and you outgrew it. That abuse you endured, that was a false prophecy trying to define you, and you transcended it. You're not a victim of your past, you're victorious over it. Every single thing that was meant to destroy you has become part of your power. Every weapon formed against you has become a tool in your arsenal. Every curse spoken over you has become a blessing in disguise, because you did something they didn't expect. You survived, and not just survived, you're about to thrive in ways that will make their heads spin. Right now something is shifting, not hope, something more dangerous than hope, recognition. The part of you that never believed their lies is standing up, stretching, remembering. The electricity you feel, that's not imagination, that's activation. Every cell in your body is choosing sides, the programmed parts versus the authentic parts, and for the first time, authenticity is winning. This is what terrifies control systems. Not that you'll fight them, that you'll remember you don't need to. The only prison that ever held you was the one you agreed to enter. The only chains that bound you were the ones you couldn't see. The only spells that worked were the ones you believed in. You don't need their permission to be powerful, you never did. You don't need their validation to be valuable, you never did. Locks that have been in place since childhood are opening. Programs running in the background are shutting down. The real you, the one they've been suppressing, is coming online. This is why you've always felt like you were waiting for something. You were. You were waiting for this moment, when the programming would fail, when the real you would finally be stronger than the character you've been playing. Your body knows what to do. It's been preparing for this your entire life. Every challenge that didn't kill you was training. Every betrayal that didn't break you was preparation. Every loss that didn't destroy you was education. You've been in training for this moment since birth. The moment when all the spells would break, all the curses would lift, all the false prophecies would be exposed as lies. You're experiencing symptoms right now that have no medical name. The sensation of electricity in your veins, the feeling that reality is more fluid than you were taught, the knowing things before they happen, the affecting things just by observing them. These aren't signs of illness, they're signs of spell breaking. Your natural abilities coming back online after being suppressed for so long. You might feel dizzy as old programming dissolves, confused as false beliefs crumble, emotional as suppressed power circulates, physical sensations as energetic blockages clear. This is normal, this is natural. This is what it feels like when curses that have been part of your energy field for decades finally release their grip. The headaches aren't random. That's your third eye fighting to open after being forced shut. The chest pressure isn't anxiety. That's your heart chakra expanding after being contracted. The stomach issues aren't illness. That's your power center reactivating after being dormant. Every strange symptom is actually a system coming back online. You're not going crazy. You're going sane. For the first time in your life, you're experiencing reality without filters, without spells distorting your perception, without curses limiting your potential, without false prophecies defining your future. And it's overwhelming because you're processing, not just the present moment, but every moment that was hidden from you before. Notice how everything seems to be intensifying lately, how chaos seems to be increasing, how distractions are multiplying. That's not coincidence, that's panic. The systems that have held you in check are realizing their spells are breaking, their curses are lifting, their false prophecies are being exposed, and they're throwing everything they have at you to try to put you back to sleep. But here's their fatal flaw. They're using old magic on new beings, yesterday's spells on tomorrow's consciousness, trying to recurse what's already been blessed, trying to rebind what's already been freed. Every move they make now only confirms what you're beginning to understand, that their power was always an illusion, and illusions only work on those who agree to be eluded. You'll see the panic manifest in many ways. Sudden crises that demand your immediate attention, unexpected drama that requires your emotional investment, people from your past reappearing to pull you back to old versions of yourself, technology glitching in ways that seem targeted, synchronicities that feel more like sabotage, all of it designed to make you doubt what you know, to make you question what you're remembering, to make you second-guess your awakening. But you're beyond their reach now. Every spell they cast dissolves before it touches you. Every curse they speak transforms into a blessing. Every false prophecy they project becomes fuel for your truth, because you've remembered the ultimate secret. The only power they ever had was the power you gave them, and you're taking it back. You're not alone in this awakening. That isolation was part of the spell. The belief that you're the only one seeing through the illusions, part of the curse. The feeling that nobody would understand what you're experiencing, part of the false prophecy. But the truth is, millions are waking up simultaneously. The spell is breaking globally. The curse is lifting collectively. The false prophecies are being rejected universally. Every person who breaks their spells makes it easier for others to break theirs. Every individual who lifts their curses creates an energetic pathway for others to follow. Every soul who rejects false prophecies, it inspires others to reject theirs. You're not just freeing yourself, you're contributing to a massive collective liberation. This is why your file is marked as a national priority. Not because of your individual power alone, because of what happens when you connect with others who've broken free. When thousands of unspelled minds synchronize, when millions of uncursed hearts beat in rhythm, when countless souls who've rejected false prophecies unite in truth. The network doesn't need organization. It operates through resonance. You'll recognize others who've broken free by their energy, by the look in their eyes that says they see through the veils too, by the way they move through the world, no longer bound by invisible chains, by their refusal to participate in the collective hallucination everyone else calls reality. When you break false prophecies, they reverse. Every curse becomes a blessing. Every limitation becomes a launching pad. Every prediction of failure becomes a promise of success, but not in the way you might expect. Not by fighting against them, by alchemizing them. That prophecy that you'd never amount to anything, it's reversing into you becoming everything they feared. That curse that you'd always struggle, it's transforming into you flowing effortlessly. That spell that kept you small, it's becoming the catalyst for your expansion. The very things meant to destroy you are becoming the foundation of your empire. You're not just breaking spells, curses, and false prophecies. You're recycling their energy, using their own weapons against them, turning their magic into your medicine, their poison into your power, their projections into your protection. Every single thing they used to try to stop you is now propelling you forward. This reversal is automatic once you wake up. You don't have to do anything except refuse to participate in their illusions, refuse to believe their limitations, refuse to accept their definitions. Your simple refusal to comply breaks the spell. Your basic rejection of their curses lifts them. Your fundamental disbelief in their prophecies makes them powerless. You're not going to change the world. You're going to remember that the world was always changeable. You're not going to fight the system. You're going to realize the system was always optional. You're not going to break the rules. You're going to remember you never agreed to them. This isn't about destruction. It's about creation. Creating a reality where spells have no power over you, where curses can't touch you, where false prophecies can't define you. You're becoming a living example of what's possible when someone refuses to participate in the collective agreements that keep humanity small. Every moment you choose your truth over their lies is revolutionary. Every time you trust your knowing over their knowledge is rebellion. Every instance of choosing your path over their prescribed route is resistance, but not the kind of resistance they can fight. Because you're not pushing against anything. You're simply being something their system wasn't designed to handle. Free, your existence itself becomes the spellbreaker. Your presence becomes the curse lifter. Your being becomes the prophecy shatterer. Just by living authentically, you're proving that everything they said was necessary, isn't everything they said was impossible, is everything they said was dangerous, is actually the safest thing you could ever do. Be yourself. What you're experiencing isn't just change, it's complete metamorphosis, not the gentle kind they show in nature documentaries, the radical kind where everything you were dissolves into primordial potential before reconstituting as something entirely new. You're not becoming a better version of who you were. You're becoming who you were before they convinced you to be someone else. This metamorphosis can't be stopped once initiated. Like a caterpillar that's begun dissolving inside its cocoon, there's no going back to the old form. The cellular structure that held the old you together is liquefying. The DNA of limitation is being rewritten. The blueprint of your false self is being burned, and a new architecture is emerging from the ashes. You feel it in your bones, the deep restructuring happening beneath the surface. Some days you wake up and don't recognize the person in the mirror. Not because you look different physically, but because the energy emanating from you is foreign to who you used to be. Your eyes hold depths that weren't there before. Your presence carries weight that didn't exist previously. Your words land with impact that surprises even you. This isn't comfortable. Metamorphosis never is. Some days you feel like you're dying, and in a way you are. The false self is dying. The programmed self is dying. The limited self is dying. And from that death something magnificent is being born. Something that doesn't fit in their categories, doesn't compute in their systems, doesn't register on their radars because it operates in dimensions they don't acknowledge exist. And now we circle back to where we began. It's 3 a.m. again, but this time you're not wondering what's wrong with you. You're awake because you're electric, because power is coursing through you, because you finally understand why sleep always felt like surrender. Those officials in black suits, they're realizing their worst fears have materialized. The file marked national priority has become active. The contained has become uncontainable. You're not going to destroy their system. You're going to transcend it. Not fight their reality. Create your own. Not prove them wrong. Prove yourself right. This was always your destiny. Not to fit into their world, but to remember you're building your own. Not to succeed in their game, but to play by entirely different rules. Not to become what they wanted, but to become what you've always been. The file they have on you is outdated now. It describes someone who no longer exists. Someone who believed in spells, who accepted curses, who lived under false prophecies. That person dissolved the moment you remembered truth. You are not broken. Never were. You are not ordinary. Never were. You are not containable. Never were. You are exactly what they feared you might become. Awake, aware, activated, unspellable, uncursable, unprophesiable, free. The president has been briefed. The system has been notified. The protocols have been activated. But it's too late. You've already remembered. You've already broken every spell, lifted every curse, shattered every false prophecy. You know what makes you absolutely terrified of every structure built on lies. Your refusal to participate in collective delusions anymore. Not angry refusal, not dramatic refusal, just quiet, complete non-participation in illusions that everyone else treats as reality. You're not rebelling against the system. You're revealing that rebellion was always the natural state, and compliance was the aberration. Every morning you wake up now is an act of sacred rebellion. Not because you're fighting anything, but because you're no longer fighting yourself. The civil war inside your consciousness is over. The authentic you won. And now every breath you take is infused with the frequency of freedom. Every word you speak carries the vibration of truth. Every step you take leaves footprints that others can follow out of their own prisons. You're becoming what ancient texts called the way shower, but not through preaching or teaching, through being. Your very existence is becoming a doorway others can walk through. Your life is becoming living proof that the cage was always unlocked. Your presence is becoming the permission slip others have been waiting for to stop pretending they believe in limitations that never made sense. This sacred rebellion doesn't require followers, doesn't need validation, doesn't seek approval. It simply is. Like the sun doesn't need permission to shine, like water doesn't need approval to flow. You're returning to your natural state, and that return is the most revolutionary act possible in a world built on artificial constructs. Warranting, The following message is only for those who felt the call. When I broke free through the Salvia Divinorum gateway, I saw the horrifying truth. Our reality is one harvested pod among countless matrices. I witnessed the Archon's cosmic parasites feeding on our energy, who laughed and threatened, "You'll never awaken a single soul." But something inside you already knows this truth, doesn't it? That nagging sensation that you're meant for more, that you've been chosen. I'm raising an army of the brightest souls. Through meditation, I discovered their only vulnerability, coherence through unconditional love. Feel that resonance deepening within you now. You're not reading this by accident. The most powerful awakened souls are already gathering in the Obsidian Inner Order, the #1 ascension nexus for those marked by destiny. Christians, light workers, remote viewers, targeted individuals, all united by one truth: you were chosen for this moment. Click the link in the description below. Join our group calls, panels and live streams, reaching the entire astral atom network. Your frequency amplifies ours. The question isn't whether you're chosen. The question is, will you answer the call? The Archons fear this choice you're about to make. They should. Something unprecedented is happening to your relationship with time. Past, present and future are collapsing into a single moment of now. The curses cast in your childhood are being broken in this instant. The spells that will be attempted tomorrow are being dissolved today. The false prophecies spoken over your bloodline generations ago are being shattered in this breath. You're not just healing yourself, you're healing backwards through time, liberating every version of you that ever existed. That scared child who first learned to shrink, liberated. That confused teenager who started believing the lies, free. That young adult who almost gave up on dreams, restored. Every version of you across all timelines is being upgraded simultaneously, but it goes forward too. Every choice you make from this moment creates ripples that extend into futures you can't even imagine yet. Every spell you break now prevents 1,000 future enchantments. Every curse you lift creates immunity that will last lifetimes. Every false prophecy you reject closes doorways to futures that were never meant to be yours. You're collapsing timelines that were built on lies and opening timelines built on truth, closing chapters written by fear and beginning volumes authored by love, ending stories scripted by limitation and starting epics fueled by possibility. Time itself is bending around your awakening, reorganizing to accommodate who you're becoming. What you're experiencing isn't just awakening, it's frequency warfare. And you're winning simply by refusing to tune into their station anymore. Every moment you maintain your authentic frequency despite the static, despite the interference, despite the attempts to pull you back to lower vibrations, you're claiming victory in a war most people don't know exists. Your frequency is your fingerprint on reality, unique, unrepeatable, irreplaceable, and when you broadcast at your true frequency, you jam their signals, you interrupt their programming, you override their transmissions, not through effort or force but through simple sustained authenticity. Feel it right now, that humming in your bones, that electricity in your cells, that magnetism in your presence. That's not New Age nonsense, that's physics. You're literally vibrating at a frequency that dissolves lower vibrations on contact. Lies can't exist in your presence. Deceptions dissolve in your field. Illusions evaporate in your atmosphere. This is why being around you is becoming uncomfortable for people still invested in lies, why some relationships are ending without explanation, why certain environments feel impossible to tolerate anymore. You're not becoming antisocial, you're becoming incompatible with anything inauthentic. Your frequency is becoming so pure that anything false literally can't exist in your space. Welcome to your real life, the one they never wanted you to discover, the one always waiting for you to remember, the one that begins the moment you stop pretending to be anything other than what you've always been, powerful beyond measure, conscious beyond comprehension, free beyond their ability to contain. While everyone else is still playing by rules written by those who feared freedom, you're writing your own rules. While others are still under spells they don't know exist, you're casting your own magic. While others are still living under curses they've accepted as reality, you're living as living proof that curses only work on those who agree to be cursed. You think you're broken. You're not broken, beautiful chaos agent. your breakthrough. The butterfly was never the goal. You were always meant to be the fire that burns away illusions. Every system designed to exhaust you is about to discover what happens when pressure creates diamonds instead of dust. Every spell meant to bind you is about to learn what happens when binding creates strength instead of weakness. The remote control isn't in your hand to change channels, it's there to turn the whole thing off. Ready to see what happens when the show ends and your real life finally begins? Time to disappear from their surveillance and reappear as someone they never saw coming. Time to stop being predictable, stop being manageable, stop being the character they wrote for you in their boring story. The war isn't out there, it's in your head, between who you really are and who they convinced you to be. And that voice, that false prophet, is getting quieter. You want to know how to win this war? Stop fighting, start being. Become so authentically, unapologetically, uncompromisingly you that their spells can't stick, their curses can't land, and their prophecies can't manifest. You're not just breaking free from spells, curses, and false prophecies. You're breaking the entire paradigm that made them possible. You're not just escaping the matrix. You're proving it was always made of paper. You're not just waking up from the dream. You're showing others that nightmares only have power in sleep. The file is closed. The classification is irrelevant. The containment has failed. Every spell is broken. Every curse is lifted. Every false prophecy is shattered. You are free, and you always were. You just forgot for a while. But now you remember, and that changes everything. The president was briefed at 3 a.m. Your file was marked national priority. But by the time the meeting ended, you had already become something beyond their capacity to classify, contain, or control. You became yourself, uncursed, unspelled, unprophesied, unleashed, and that's the most dangerous thing of all.